Anime was never just entertainment. It's always been an art form, a cultural force, a philosophical gold standard, and oftentimes an emotional gut punch. From dystopian thrillers to high fantasy epics, the 14 classics we're about to cover in this video changed the animation landscape, and we mean forever. Talk about iconic. Whether they dazzled with breathtaking hand-drawn mastery or challenged storytelling conventions, the influence of these anime series and movies can still be felt. They've certainly shaped the medium itself in ways even their creators never imagined. So sit tight as we explore the 14 most beautiful hand-drawn animes from the 90s. Number 1. Ghost in the Shell, 1995. Production IG. Ghost in the Shell is a cyberpunk fever dream dipped in existential dread and jaw-dropping hand-drawn mastery. Anyone who's seen this anime will agree that production IG didn't hold back. They created a world where neon-soaked cityscapes pulse with life and every frame feels like a painting. Suffice to say, this movie was way ahead of its time. The animation is stunning. It blends traditional cell animation with early CG flourishes, proving that computers and hand-drawn artistry can indeed shake hands instead of arm wrestle. The iconic shelling sequence where Major Kusanagi's synthetic body is constructed remains one of the most mesmerizing scenes in anime history. It's smooth, meticulous, and oddly hypnotic. The amount of detail in the urban environments, with their endless skyscrapers, tangled cables, and flickering holograms, sets a new bar for sci-fi world building. Why is Ghost in the Shell still iconic? Because it made us question reality before The Matrix did. It's the gold standard for cyberpunk aesthetics, influencing everything from Hollywood blockbusters to modern anime. The movie and the series dares to ask, are we just ghosts in our own shells, wandering through a digital age? Then there's that haunting score, which in itself is a masterpiece. 2. Princess Mononoke, 1997, Studio Ghibli. Princess Mononoke is a hand-painted epic that makes you question your life choices every time you step on a bug. Studio Ghibli, under the wizardly direction of Hayao Miyazaki, crafted a world where every frame feels like an oil painting and every creature looks like it might judge you for littering. The animation is breathtaking, blending fluid hand-drawn techniques with subtle CGI enhancements that somehow don't steal the show. And the sheer movement in those battle scenes, Ashitaka slicing arrows mid-air like it's just another Tuesday, is an absolute masterclass in kinetic energy. And let's talk about those backgrounds for a sec. The forests are alive. They're textured with a depth that makes us wonder if we accidentally wandered into a Japanese nature documentary. Why is Princess Mononoke still iconic? Because it was the first anime that told humanity, yeah, nature hates you, but it's trying really hard not to. Mononoke wasn't just a visual feast, but it was also philosophy wrapped in stunning animation. Its influence can even be seen in modern films pushing environmental themes. And let's be honest, the forest spirit's unsettling deer face still lives rent-free in all of our minds. A timeless classic through and through. 3. Cowboy Bebop, 1998 to 99, Sunrise. Cowboy Bebop is a vibe. This slick, jazzy, noir-infused space western swaggered onto our screens and made cool look effortless. Sunrise's animation team poured their souls into this series. They hand-drew characters with more personality than most live-action casts and crafted a future that still felt gritty, lived in, and casually indifferent to your troubles. The animation is just impeccable. Action scenes flow like jam sessions, whether it's Spike slipping through zero gravity or dodging bullets with his signature I don't care energy. The space battles are sharp, dogfights feel chaotic yet choreographed, and let's not forget the quieter moments. Staring into the abyss of space, cigarette smoke curling into nothingness, every frame oozes style. Why is Cowboy Bebop still iconic? Because it's the gold standard of effortless cheek. It seamlessly blended jazz, western, sci-fi, and noir like it was mixing a cocktail, and boy was it smooth. Directors and animators today still look at Bebop and go, how'd they do that? The show didn't just tell a story, it made us feel the loneliness of the cosmos. And when that final "See a Space Cowboy" hit, you knew you had just watched something legendary. 4. Neon Genesis Evangelion, 1995, Gainax. 6. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a psychological roller coaster disguised as a mecha show where the real battle is existential dread. Gainax threw traditional mecha tropes out the window, opting for raw, hand-drawn intensity that made every fight feel like an emotional breakdown set to classical music. The animation is chaotic in the best way. The Evas move like feral beasts, unnerving in their fluidity, while the angels bring abstract terror with designs straight out of someone's fever dream. And let's not forget the use of still frames. Evangelion mastered the art of making you stare at a single image for way too long until the silence becomes deafening. Why is Neon Genesis Evangelion still iconic? Because it shattered expectations, that's why. It took giant robots and made them horrifying. It made us question identity, human connection, and whether Shinji should really just get in the robot. The show's influence stretches across animation and film. Anyone tackling themes of depression and self-worth owes Evangelion a nod. Whether you left it feeling enlightened or just confused, one thing's clear. This series changed anime forever. Now, about that final scene, yeah, that's right, we're still collectively trying to process it. 5. Ninja Scroll, 1993, Madhouse. Ninja Scroll is a whirlwind of blood-soaked, hand-drawn madness that makes you wonder if ninjas ever sleep. Madhouse threw everything into this film. Detailed backgrounds, lightning-fast choreography, and enough stylized violence to make action movie buffs fist pump in approval. The animation is brutally elegant. Every sword clash is like a dance with death, executed with smooth, hand-drawn precision that keeps you hooked. The fight scenes are legendary, from Jubei's battle against the rock-skinned Tesai, because fighting a literal boulder seemed like a good idea, to his eerie, poison-laced encounter with Kagero. The use of shadow and movement makes every strike feel visceral, while the gruesomely artistic gore reminds you that ninja life wasn't exactly a gentle profession. Why is Ninja Scroll still iconic? Because it was the blueprint for stylized, mature action anime. Without Ninja Scroll, we wouldn't have had the same flair in later dark fantasy classics. It influenced creators worldwide, cementing the idea that animation could deliver grit, fluidity, and mind-blowing combat without sacrificing artistry. Apparently, even ninjas need a little luck. Speaking of which, Jubei, the ultimate wandering swordsman, zero interest in being a hero, 100% commitment to surviving another ridiculous battle. 6. Jin-Roh, the Wolf Brigade, 1999. Production IG. Jin-Roh, the Wolf Brigade is a slow-burn dystopian nightmare wrapped in hand-drawn perfection. Production IG went into full filmy cinematic mode for this one. They managed to create some of the most hauntingly grounded animation ever. No flashy energy blasts, no gravity-defying acrobatics, just raw, weighty movement that makes every step feel intentional. The animation embraces realism in a way that makes the violence in this movie hit harder. Gunfights aren't merely action spectacles, they're cold, brutal exchanges that carry real-world physics. And those hand-drawn character expressions, they're unnervingly restrained and perfectly suit the bleak, oppressive atmosphere of the story. And let's not forget the use of shadows. Jin-Roh practically bathes in them, creating a noir-esque tone where characters seem to be swallowed by their own demons. Why is Jin-Roh the Wolf Brigade still iconic? Because it proved that anime could be just as introspective and heavy as live-action political thrillers. Its thematic depth, tendency to question obedience, notions of morality, and the nature of humanity all leave a lasting impression. Directors and animators continue to reference this anime's chillingly beautiful realism. No wonder it's become a staple in serious storytelling. Oh, and those Kerberos armored troops, possibly the most terrifying design for guys you don't want chasing you in a dark alley. 7. The Vision of Escaflowne, 1996. Sunrise. The Vision of Escaflowne boasts a glorious fusion of giant mechs, high fantasy, and more dramatic slow-motion moments than a telenovela. Studio Sunrise went all out in crafting a hand-drawn aesthetic that's both elegant and wildly expressive. The characters wear their emotions so boldly you can practically read the thoughts in their eyes. The animation is stunningly textured and beautifully detailed. Escaflowne's fight choreography is a ballet of mechanical destruction with fluid swordplay and weighty mech movements that make every encounter feel real. The film-like shading and lush backgrounds create a world that feels alive, rich with medieval grandeur and steampunk mystery. And don't forget the overly sharp noses. Somehow they make it all seem iconic. Why does the Vision of Escaflowne still matter? Because it blended genres like no other. mixing romance, sci-fi, and fantasy with a level of seriousness that instantly hooked viewers. Its influence is seen in later works that try the same balance of mecha and mysticism, but few have reached its level of artistry. Plus, Yoko Kanno's sweeping soundtrack is an auditory masterpiece. Escaflowne isn't just another mecha show, oh no. It's a visually stunning, emotionally charged adventure that still holds its own even after all these decades. Classic status locked in. 8. Patlabor 2, the movie, 1993. Production IG. Patlabor 2 is a philosophical thriller cleverly disguised as a mecha-themed movie. Mamoru Oshii took the framework of robots and law enforcement and cranked up the political intrigue, wove in some subtle tension, and applied slow-burn storytelling. The result? Proof that giant machines don't always have to be wrecking city skylines to be fascinating. Visually, the film is a masterpiece. Think restrained elegance and you'll get an idea of what we mean. Production IG's hand-drawn animation is crisp, detailed, and incredibly atmospheric. Whether it's sprawling cityscapes drowned in muted colors or the hauntingly empty streets that make Tokyo feel like a ghost town, they're simply amazing. The labors themselves are drawn with weighty realism, moving like functional machines rather than flashy action stars. The use of lighting, reflections, and cinematic framing makes each scene feel alive, even when things barely move. Why is Patlabor 2 still iconic? Because it's a mecha film that dared to ask, what if the biggest threats aren't robots, but ideology? It's a slow, methodical experience that, to date, influences anime and live-action films alike. It proves that animation can deliver tension and political commentary as sharply as any thriller. Plus, no one does existential dread with military precision quite like Oshii. This is a thinking person's mecha film through and through. 9. Perfect Blue, 1997. Madhouse. Perfect Blue is a psychological gut punch delivered in Madhouse's stunning hand-drawn animation style. Satoshi Kon crafted a world where reality unravels so seamlessly that, by the end, you're left questioning your own existence. Frankly, if an animated movie can do that, it deserves legendary status. Visually, Perfect Blue thrives on tension. The animation is unsettlingly realistic. Not exaggerated, not stylized, just eerily grounded. This makes the descent into madness all the more chilling if you ask us. The meticulous hand-drawn frames, paired with Kon's signature match cuts and jarring perspective shifts, create the sensation of a waking nightmare. One moment, Mima's safe. The next, she's staring into a distorted reflection that seems too alive. And that infamous bathtub scene, pure cinematic horror. Why is Perfect Blue still iconic? Because it blurred the line between anime and psychological thrillers and went on to inspire everything from Black Swan to modern horror filmmaking. It proved that animation isn't just for the fantasy genre, it can also be terrifyingly human. Themes like fame, identity, and voyeurism are even more relevant today in the age of social media. Perfect Blue is more than just influential. This mind-bending masterpiece is basically a cautionary tale that still feels fresh in the realm of pop culture. 10. Revolutionary Girl Utena, 1997. JC Staff. Revolutionary Girl Utena is a surreal fever dream defined by roses and existential crises. JC Staff delivered a visual spectacle that thrives on theatrical symbolism, exaggerated movements, and enough dramatic staircases to make an architect weep. The animation is striking, with bold, minimalist backgrounds that give the sword fight duels an almost stage-like quality. Each face-off isn't just combat, it's also a ballet of ideals where silhouettes dance against abstract skies. Hand-drawn elegance shines in the expressive character designs where emotions aren't just felt, they practically radiate off the screen. And those impossible spinning rose gates are aesthetic pro max. Why is Revolutionary Girl Utena still iconic? Because it flipped the magical girl genre upside down, threw out all the cliches, and replaced them with layered metaphors and wild plot twists. It challenged gender roles, identity, and fate, all while looking absolutely stunning. Few anime dare to be as experimental as this. This series' fingerprints are all over modern animation, especially ones that embrace surrealism. Plus, Utena herself is cool beyond words. Anyone who casually decides, I think I'll be a prince today, is automatically a legend in our book. 11. Macross Plus, 1995, Studio Nue. Macross Plus is a dogfight ballet that cleverly hides a cautionary tale about AI, which feels eerily relevant today. Studio Nue took the Macross franchise, sprinkled in high-speed aerial combat, a messy love triangle, and an ominous virtual idol, and somehow made it all work seamlessly. Visually, the hand-drawn animation is pure spectacle. The mecha designs, especially the transforming YF-19 and YF-21, move with a kind of weight and fluidity that makes each aerial battle feel breathtaking. The mix of traditional cell animation with early CGI integration was groundbreaking, making flight sequences feel fast, smooth, and shockingly immersive for its time. This is the 90s we're talking about. Every missile barrage is beautifully chaotic, and if you don't get chills watching Isamu dodge explosions mid-air, are you even watching Macross Plus properly? Why is Macross Plus still iconic? Because it captured the thrill of the fight better than most live-action films could dream of. It also predicted our obsession with AI-driven entertainment. Sharon Apple's eerie presence hits different now, in an era of virtual influencers and AI pop stars. The movie is stylish, ambitious, and emotional, proving that mecha anime can be more than just cool robots, it can feel deeply human as well. 12. His and Her Circumstances, 1998 to 99. Gainax. His and Her Circumstances, aka Koreshi Kanojo no Jijo, is an emotional roller coaster highlighted by chaotic visual experiments. Gainax took a high school romance and infused it with every artistic trick in the book, proving that a love story doesn't have to look conventional to be compelling. The animation is wildly creative. One moment it's beautifully hand-drawn drama, the next it's sketchy doodles, paper cutouts, or manga panel transitions. The sheer unpredictability in art direction makes every episode feel fresh and dynamic, perfectly matching the show's deep dive into the characters' emotional complexities. Exaggerated facial expressions and rapid shifts in tone, from deeply introspective to downright absurd, set the series apart from standard romance animes of the 90s. Why is His and Her Circumstances still iconic? Because it treated teenage emotions with brutal honesty. It wasn't just a will they won't they romance, this one explored self-worth, the masks we wear in society, and the pressure to be perfect. Later romance anime owes a lot to this series' ability to effortlessly juggle comedy, drama, and introspection. And honestly, Yukino and Arima, they're proof that love can be messy, terrifying, and hilarious all at once. This underrated classic still resonates today. 13. Slayers, 1995. ENG Films. Slayers is a brilliant cocktail of fantasy chaos and classic hand-drawn charm. ENG Films took the beloved slapstick magic of the Slayers franchise and cranked it up several notches. The studio delivered fluid animation, expressive character designs, and spell-casting sequences that made fireballs look extra satisfying. The animation is lively and dynamic, perfectly matching the fast-paced humor and action-packed fights. Lena Inverse's exaggerated expressions alone could carry a scene, shifting swiftly between smug confidence and panic-induced meltdown. The spell effects, especially the infamous Dragon Slave, are a feast of fiery destruction, with beautifully rendered explosions that practically boast, yeah, this is overkill, but we love it. Why is Slayers still iconic? Because it blends comedy, adventure, and sheer ridiculousness in a way new fantasy anime just hasn't matched. It doesn't just parody RPG tropes, it embraces them with reckless abandon. No wonder this 90s anime movie influenced countless fantasy series in the years that follow. Lena's brand of morally questionable heroism and overpowered magic remains unforgettable, proving that 90s anime humor has staying power. Plus, seeing a tiny sorceress strike fear into the hearts of villains never gets old. This one's a timeless classic that refuses to take itself too seriously, and that's exactly why it works. 14. Marmalade Boy, 1994 to 95. Toei Animation. Marmalade Boy is peak 90s shoujo drama with an extra helping of romantic chaos. Toei Animation embraced classic hand-drawn elegance. They blended soft colors, dreamy sparkles, and character designs so distinct that even the hair alone could tell you who's about to make bad life choices. The animation style sticks to shoujo tradition. Think big expressive eyes that practically scream feelings. Then there's the delicate shading and gracefully exaggerated movements that make every love confession feel like a life or death moment. The way emotion is illustrated is pure artistry, whether through flowing hair in a dramatic breeze or a teardrop so perfectly framed it might as well be cinematic gold. And let's not forget the fashion. Marmalade Boy made 90s anime outfits iconic long before nostalgia became a thing. Why is Marmalade Boy still influential? Because it was one of the most definitive high school romance dramas ever. This one set the blueprint for future series that juggled love triangles, personal growth, and overly complicated family dynamics. Few shows captured the messy, heartfelt emotions of young love with such sincerity. Plus, Miki's roller coaster love life is proof that dating in anime comes with zero chill. This classic still holds up for hopeless romantics and drama enthusiasts alike. Marvelous verdict! What makes an anime timeless? Stunning animation, unforgettable characters, and themes that hit just as hard decades later. From haunting realism to genre-bending brilliance, and more, the 14 cherry-picked recommendations in this video prove that anime isn't just a fleeting trend, it's an evolving, boundary-pushing art form. Whether philosophical, action-packed, or just downright chaotic, these legacies remain unshaken. Let us know your favorite 90s anime in the comments down below, especially if we missed it on this list. We're always looking for ideas for new videos. Otherwise, thanks for watching Marvelous Videos, and long live anime greatness. Hello, I mispronounced Gainax on the entry number 4, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Just gonna do a quick re-recording here. Gainax! Gainax threw traditional mecha tropes out the window, opting for raw, hand-drawn intensity that made every fight feel like an emotional breakdown set to classical music.